All right, Mike Goldenstein, Roofle, what's going on, my man?
Hey, good to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for coming.
I'm excited to be here.
Why?
Well, because Benny's here.
Okay.
Although, if you notice, he's out there speaking right now, and I'm
Yeah.
not.
Well,
Just because,
I hear you guys hung out last night, so you probably got enough of Benny.
well, you know, the one thing you can never get enough of Benny, including Benny, cannot get enough of Benny. And so that's one of the things that's always fun to listen to him talk about himself. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
And guess what he's talking about right now?
What?
Benny.
Yeah.
It's my story. That's how his whole first half hour was.
Yeah.
My story.
And I still
So-
love hearing because he's
One of the greatest people
he's
on the planet. I love
great
Benny.
storyteller, and he's
Yeah.
great at, I think his superpower is like connecting with people and like kind of breaking down barriers.
And he's so passionate. Like,
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't have this speed of being lethargic. He's just
No.
like, he's just always all in.
Yeah.
All in.
He called me last night when he landed, I guess before he met up with you. And I was like scared to answer because I was like on my way to bed, and he knows me. So I call him back, and he's like, hey, you're probably like winding down. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to call Goldenstein. We're going to go out. I'm like, great. But yeah, because he could just go. It's special.
See, and I'm getting old too. And so my wind down is like, man, it's like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to stop.
But that's such a great skill to have, is like being able to connect with people on like a human level instead of like this, proper, what do you call it? What's the word? Taking it like a stance, like you have to have everything figured out.
Yeah. And to bring energy, right,
Yeah.
to any kind of relationship, any conversation that you have, you're not just going to exchange formalities.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to actually have a conversation.
Right.
He's going to be engaging. He's going to be
Right.
asking about what's going on and how you're doing it. And then he's always going to challenge you to be more strategic, or
Yeah.
have you ever thought about doing it this way or something
Yeah.
like that? So it's great to have people like that in your life.
Well, I think you're one of those people. I think you're one of those people that you're able to like connect with instantly because you don't take yourself too seriously.
It's hard to. I mean, have you looked at me? I can't. I have a hard time taking it. In fact, did somebody spray some fart spray on here or something? You need to do that. Somebody's got to do that.
Yeah.
Put some
Stink bomb.
Stick that right in my face.
Oh yeah.
What?
But you call yourself an influencer, which is a new term to me. So tell everyone what an influencer is.
So an influencer. So I mean, the longer story is, it is becoming more and more of a trend to be influencer, and in fact, I think it's the number 2. If you look at, I think it was a study from ages like 8 to 18.
Okay.
And what did they want to be when they grew up? And it was influencer was like number 2.
Wow.
And so it's one of those things where you look at it and you're watching all these people talk about the algorithm and what time to post and when to post and where to post and who to, and it gets pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
And at some point I had to just sit back and go, I do social media because I enjoy it.
Yep.
And I have fun with it. I can't take myself too seriously, and I just really don't want to care about the numbers.
Yes.
I look at the numbers. I think they are important. I mean, it's because I am serious about building a brand and sales and marketing for my company and
Right.
and being a chief revenue officer. I don't even barely know what that is, but I know kind of. And somebody actually explained it this morning. I'm like, oh, that's really good. It's like the marriage of sales and marketing.
Right. It's revenue department.
I love that because I
Yeah.
think there's a true tension between sales and marketing
Yes.
because they can kind of hate each other at certain times. But so long story short, I kind of came back to this one. It's like, I'm not going to pressure myself to try to be this influencer thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to relax, let things happen as they will. I'm kind of more the influencer, un-VIP, anything that's just, I'm charcoal
in the middle of the
club,
plane, that sort of thing.
the back of the plane.
Back of the plane. Right. Near the bathroom.
Because, I mean, if that thing goes down, influencers live longer. Because I'm in the back of the plane. The people in first class are dying first.
Yeah, you can at least call your wife and be like, "Hey, we're going down."
I might have. I've had a lot of fun with that and just looking at different stupid things that entertain me.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things, like, I'll be honest, this is what I do. I will wake up early in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'll open up. I'll look at what I was doing last year, 2 years ago, 3, 5 years ago, and usually get a laugh out of something stupid that I did. And to me, that's the joy of social media and wanting to do what I do.
Like those memories that pop up.
The memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story memories that pop up to me, I laugh because like it'll be 3 years ago, November 8th. Like here's like your stories.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same stuff I'm talking about today. Like I'm pretty boring. I'm pretty consistent, you know?
But it's not boring, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it takes
no,
you by and
right.
and especially my kids. I've got 5 kids.
Yeah.
And seeing where they were and
Yeah,
what they looked like and going, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well,
But I'm good friends with Reggie Brock.
Yes.
And you know Reggie really well, and he's such a good storyteller.
Yes.
And kind of a chronicler of lives.
Yeah.
And when he was telling me his story of kind of where he was creating some content and being intentional about it.
Yep.
And he was telling a story while his son reached out to him, who started watching some of his stuff and said there's such a connection there.
Wow.
With the content that he was creating. Like he got to know his dad a little bit better just from the content he was creating. Like what a great way to do it. I mean, some people journal, some people paint, write, some people scrapbook. I throw stuff on Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
So I think you asked me once because I'd reached out to you because I never have really had a strategy. And that's part of what I'm like, all right, if I really want to be the best that I can be for Roofle and pulling the most of the content that we're producing, it's like, hey, Joseph, how can I do this better?
Right.
And your response was like one word, was why?
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that.
And
Yeah.
it totally froze me. I'm like, why? Well, that's a really complex question. I don't know.
Well, because I think so many people do it. I've gotten caught up in this too. You get caught up in the algorithm. You get caught up in the vanity metrics, and you're looking at other people like, oh, that guy's got a lot of followers. I should do a post like that guy, or I should do a video like that guy. And you get caught up in it. We all do.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I doing this? Who are my, like I just talked about, who are my people that I want to attract? Like the right type of clients, the team members, the people into my life. I don't need everyone, right?
Yeah.
Just to find my little, like those people I connect with.
Yeah.
And being true to yourself and be authentic is everything.
I'll tell you another thing that I've been the most interested by is that when I walk into somebody like at church, people at church they don't have nothing to do with roofing.
Right.
Like they have no clue who I'm talking about.
So lucky.
Lucky. Right. When I'm right. And when I'm doing like the different, I started doing the photoshopping thing. That just kind of became a bit for a while,
Yeah.
They don't know who it is. I mean, the number of people that come up and say, I really enjoy watching or following.
That's cool.
Your stuff. And you're like, I didn't do it for you.
Right.
Although I didn't. I mean, I'm having fun on there. But then, and even inside the business, the number of people who come up and go, man, I love watching your stuff. And it's like, they never like anything. They never view it. They never comment. They never, and that's the stuff to me is, I may not have the most viewers. I really don't have a ton of views. I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have the numbers, but man, I have my people. And I didn't know until you come to like a RoofCon or some of these events and people come up and say, I love what you do. And it's been so fun to watch.
That's the only reason I come to events is to get that ego boosts, But no, you're so right. Like you don't realize that, especially with a podcast or YouTube where it's not as conducive as like the leaving comments and having a discussion like Facebook is.
Yeah.
You don't know. And then you come to an event and people are like, man, I'd listen to every podcast episode you've ever put out. I'm like, man, like, I'm sorry that you have such a boring life,
Right.
Or like YouTube, or like we had a guy at our Denver event a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, you've been a little inconsistent with your YouTube videos. I'm like, wow, I didn't really know anyone paid attention like that much, But then things like my wife's 75-year-old aunt, like we'll meet up for like, holidays, and she's never like liking anything or commenting.
Yeah.
And she'll just reference different posts that I've made. I'm like, wow, okay, that's like, right. That's really cool. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you would rather have somebody who's actually paying attention and really enjoying your content than having 1,000 people liking and commenting and viewing who really couldn't care less about what you're doing.
Right.
And are completely disinterested, which happens too.
Yeah.
So tying that back to sales, right? So you're just throwing stuff against a wall, and some of it is really being consumed, but you're getting nothing out of it.
Right.
They're not buying your product. They're not buying it. They have no idea who Roofle is or what it does or why it does it. Like they're not your so that's where I think there's an overinflation when it comes to influencing and an overvaluation. I mean, I hate going there, but people really put a high price tag on influencers and get them to push their products, and then you're sitting there going, is there really a return on investment? But maybe you know better. How do you put an ROI?
Yeah, John, who just walked out of the room, is actually really he knows a lot about that.
Getting the return on the investment.
Yeah, but I think it's the riches are in the niches, right? It's like you have a very focused following. I don't have a huge following, but it's very focused.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on my first, like, I guess you can call it influencer deal right now.
Oh, yeah?
A company approached me and wants me to be like kind of a brand ambassador for their startup company in the roofing space.
Nice.
And I will never refer to myself as influencer. Like, I think it's something that is like a byproduct of kind of like what you do.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't call myself an impactor, but I like to impact people.
Yeah. And it's not if you brand correctly, right? You don't have to work that hard on calling yourself what you are. People know what you are.
Right. It's like your brand, right? Yeah. So like you create your brand by like doing brand building activities, but your brand is ultimately how your market looks at you. It's not like I can't be like, hey, this is my brand. I am honest and full of integrity, and
right.
Like that's for your market to decide. So
thank you for a great idea. That's my post tomorrow morning. It's going to be, I am now an unbranded ambassador. And Joseph Hughes is now going to be paying me monthly to make sure that I do not tag him on any more posts of his.
There you go.
Like, he wants a complete separation from the influencer to what he's doing. Mike, you are bad for business.
Yes.
I'm paying you $150 a month.
There you go.
To make sure you do not post anything about my company.
Yeah.
Not tag me on anything.
Yeah.
I am now the unbranded ambassador.
Yeah.
Dude,
I love it.
Done.
That's
We're
great.
putting it together.
But like that brings up a good point. Whatever industry you're in, like those relationships and alliances that you have are it's very important, like who you're aligning yourself with and who you don't.
Yeah.
Because people are watching, and like it's like you got to align with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's that value alignment is everything.
And when you get to that synergy part, because you can do what you can do, they can do what they can do.
Right.
But when you go together, suddenly you're doing 3 times what you could do before. And, I'm watching your team and the way that they interact with each other, when they look at each other, they talk to each other, and they're like, even when they're up there on stage, you've got a synergy on your team that you could never even come close to accomplishing what you're accomplishing without that team.
Oh no.
Dynamic that you have going. So that's really cool. That's just fun to watch. It's even, this is my first event that I've ever been for yours.
No, I used to do these workshops. It was the Joe show, like literally, like in Dallas, it would be 15 people in a room, and that's great. That's where you start, right? And now it's like I did my 40 minutes up there, and like that's pretty much it for the day. Now I can hang out with people like you. And
oh, really? So you're kind of
no, I'll do the breakout sessions, but like,
okay, all right, nice.
But they have all the tactical stuff, and they're better at it than I am. And it's a weird, not weird. It's just it's a learning thing to where like you might ask me about like, hey, like Facebook ads or this tactical thing. I'm like, I don't really know. Ask Elizabeth or ask Sydney.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. When it gets to me, so actually, and you're good friends with Eric Obram too.
Yeah.
The Eric texted me the other day. Hey,
I guess we'll publicly state yes, I'm friends with Eric. Yes.
I was just waiting to get it. Yeah, he texted me. He says, "Hey, I got a question about Roofle," and my text back was, "Is it an easy one?" I don't. I'm not the tech guy, but
yeah.
I am a roofer. Like, that's the part that I look in very appreciative to what I get to do and how I get to do it, because literally I'm just a roofer that, kind of keeps finding myself in rooms with people that are fantastic.
Yeah.
And finding those points of contact and really enjoying what I do now.
I can tell. It's obvious. What's the biggest thing you're looking to walk away with today at the event?
Really looking at strategy. That's the number one, because I just do what I do when I do it and how I want to do. Like, I've never sat down and really thought, why? Let me really focus on the why and the how.
Yeah.
And, I just I make it up as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this point I would like to be more strategic in what I do.
I agree. And I do a lot of the same, because I put out content every day, but sometimes it's not very strategic. But you can have more of an impact. And you can actually lighten the workload on yourself if you're more strategic about it, instead of just like spinning your wheels. So we're on break. Elizabeth and Sydney coming up next. Those are the ones that you want to pay attention to when it comes to like the why Well, not the why, the how and the what. The what and the how. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So thanks for being here.
Cool.
Brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Don't touch the ball, it's over. Call it close, but we all know what this is.